Hey Taurus, it's Ashley here. We're going to do your reading for the last week of October. We're going to look at past, present, future, and try and get an idea of where you've been and where you're headed. Now this may not resonate for every Taurus out there. If it does not, please check your other placements. And if it does resonate, I would love a like and a subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when my readings are uploaded each week. You can also check down in the description box below. Alright, so end of October. Finally finishing up with several planetary retrogrades. Jupiter, Mercury, Pluto, and Saturn have gone direct. And now, as we close out October, we're going to go into November and hit eclipse season. So the party's not over yet. So let's look at what's going on. We have the Seven of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and the Chariot, the King of Swords, the Two of Swords, and the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Wands, the Sun, and the King of Wands. It's interesting, we have the Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords, King of Swords, King of Wands showing up here. It almost feels like more, as we kind of move into the future position, kind of feels more that you are getting a little bit out of your head and more into your passion here, which is interesting because we do have the contemplator, and we'll talk more about what that means. But it's a good progression here. We do have a lot of swords on the board, so quite a bit of mental activity. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Four of Cups. So there's something here that may feel emotionally dissatisfying or has in the past. But you can see that this lady is protected from the rain. And this goose would represent kind of like spirit, like it's not something you're seeing perhaps, but in some way you're being protected here. So let's see what we've got. It's kind of interesting because I almost feel like you're kind of coming into this realization that things that may have been troublesome in the past, you're beginning to be thankful that they happened, because now you're beginning to see why it had to happen that way. In the past position, we have the Vision Quest. Let me get a hold of this card here. And you can see that we have a figure here that's representing Native American. And in the book itself, it talks about kind of going off and attempting to find something. Even if it means doing something rebellious, doing something a little risky. But in search of that thing that kind of lights you up. You can see she's almost like this phoenix. You can see it almost looks like flames surrounding her here. But you can see the moon behind her as well. And so it's kind of having to take a deep dive into the subconscious, into the emotional side of the self, and into the intuition. So we have the Seven of Pentacles, the King of Swords, and the Knight of Wands. I think in the past you were really trying to be very logical and wise about the decisions you were making. And to me, kind of what it feels like is like this transition from making the logical decision into making the passionate decision. And not because you lose logic, but more because you've analyzed that side of things as far as it will take you, if that makes sense. It does feel like this could be work related. We will look with that Seven of Pentacles. It's something that you've put a lot of time and effort into, and you're waiting for a harvest. But I think on some level, with this Knight of Wands, you may have been jumping through some hoops to get to where you're going, whether that be relationship, career, that kind of thing. And it may have been kind of more of a side piece here, because the King is the King of Swords. So, for example, if this was career, you may have had to keep your day job, so to speak, while doing some side hustling. But let's get some additional detail here and see what might have been going on for this vision quest in the past. What do we have? The Seven of Pentacles. We have the Wheel of Fortune. And the Strength card. So definitely some fixed energy here. We have Taurus, you, and then Leo showing up here on the Wheel of Fortune, Aquarius, Scorpio. It's like you had to have a lot of strength and patience to wait for something to kind of come to fruition here. The King of Swords, we have the Empress. Whoops. And the World here. So I think on some level you had this clear vision that something was going to come to an end, some big cycle. And that Empress there, that's you, Taurus. So I do feel like there was something new that you wanted to birth, but I think you had to see something clear to its finish line before that could happen and become your main focus here. Because like I said, with this Knight of Wands, it kind of feels like almost a side gig kind of thing. With the Knight of Wands, we have the Devil and the Ace of Cups. So it could certainly have been dealing with a Capricorn. Get one more there. And the Sun. So to me it just feels like a strong passion. With that Sun clarifying the Devil. And I wasn't getting like Devil energy from that Devil card. It felt to me more like a deep passion. Now it could be something that's certainly considered devilish by others, but I think it's something that lights you up and brings you a lot of happiness. So that looks good. I do think that there was a possibility here that in order to get to this big vision, this Ace of Cups, this Sun card, you had to kind of perhaps even do some shadow work here and get through to understand that Devil energy a bit more, like why it was something you were strongly passionate about. Now in the present moment we have gratitude, and in this card in particular I often feel like it's tied to abundance. You can see how this figure in the background looks a lot like a Vestal Virgin or abundance itself. She's got this giant crown of flowers here, right? And so I do feel like you're coming into a really good place here. A lot of change. That card is a 23, which reduces to a 5. So there's quite a bit of change going on here. And we do have the 5 of Swords, 2 of Swords, and the Sun. So the Sun showing up again here in this middle row. But I want to understand more about why this 2 of Swords is your center card. And to me, it almost kind of feels like those two faces the more logical driven one than the more passionate one here. And perhaps even coming into more of a balance. You see how the two birds sitting atop her top hat here, that's a birdhouse, are black and white. Kind of reminds me of the Chariot and the Sphinx that's within the Chariot, the two Sphinxes, black and white. And really seeing it again here with the Sun card. She's got this bright white dress on and this headdress and then a black bird. And so it kind of just feels like some sort of balance is being struck here. What's going on in the present moment? So this will be the week of the 24th, and it'll include that last day of October, which is the 31st. So it's a little bit longer than a week, 8 days, I believe. The Five of Swords. We have the Eight of Swords. And then the Fool card. So again, it's like this gratitude for having been through something difficult, and somehow it has prepared you for this leap of faith that you're taking, this new beginning that we were talking about with the Empress, and having stepped through and finished off whatever business it was you had to finish here. It may have felt uncomfortable when you were in it, like something you were stuck in, like perhaps that wheel was never going to turn, and definitely put you up in your head quite a bit, whether it was conflict in other people around you or just mental conflict yourself. It looks like at this time this new leap is taking place. We get with the Two of Swords. We have the Seven of Wands and the Seven of Cups. Interesting. So with the Two of Swords, the Seven of Cups, to me that is certainly needing to make a decision about something and standing your ground behind that choice. Let me get one more there. Oh my gosh, and the Seven of Swords. 777. Definitely some sort of spiritual lessons taking place in this week with all those sevens. But it does feel like it's almost like you're trying to beat back some fears here, some illusions, some perhaps even deceit energy that you may feel around you. I'm going to come back to this because it is your center card here. But I want to see what else we get in the spread to see if it kind of brings more light to what's going on. Because it's interesting. We got on the Seven of Cups. And one of the cups is this victory wreath. And he's kind of looking at that cup. And he's surrounded by all these others that have either really positive or really negative things within them. And so I feel like at this time, you definitely want a victory. But I don't know that you're fully trusting at this juncture just yet. And perhaps it's because this Fool, this new beginning, is finally coming in, and it has taken a while to get here, that you've started to have some doubts. Let's see. What do we have? The Sun. We have the Three of Wands. And the Nine of Swords. Okay, so definitely still feeling like you're in this waiting period, and it is causing you stress. So we have the Sun here in the past position. It's something you're really drawn to. Now, it could be a person with this Knight of Wands, but it does feel like, again, like this having to jump through hoops. And I feel like now looking at this, what this row is talking about, is I think that you're going to have gratitude once this period of time passes, and that you will have that victory wreath. But I think at this juncture, this feeling stuck and this Fool having not quite shown up yet for you, or is just about to, there's some stress about this waiting for this to happen. Or perhaps something is lingering longer than you had hoped. Let's see what's coming in the future position. And I will talk about the potential here. If you're watching this hoping for a love reading, we'll look at that as well here right at the end. Because right now I kind of feel like it could be either love or life/career. And I've been looking at it more from a career standpoint, but we're going to see what we get. So the Contemplator. And what I was referring to earlier with this card and why it's interesting is that this card talks about kind of allowing your subconscious to take care of problem solving. And so when we've been in our heads actively thinking about something for too long, you know, it gets real jumbled. You get this Seven of Cups type energy where it's like there's so many options, it's hard to decide what the right thing is, and we can often land in this very mentally stuck and stressed out place. And this card talks about, you know, purposely making it a point not to think about something so that the solution can come to you through your subconscious. So maybe it comes through in a dream, or maybe it just kind of hits you out of nowhere when you're not thinking about something actively. So let's see what might be going on with that. And I had mentioned that because I felt like you were stepping from very mental into a less mental and more passionate place here in this future position. So we have the Chariot, the Knight of Swords, and the King of Wands. So I think that big break that you've been waiting for is coming, and things are going to speed up. But it feels like this Knight of Swords, you can see she's holding a paintbrush and sort of erasing the clouds away here. And so I do feel like there's something that comes in, perhaps from your subconscious mind, that kind of breaks up those illusions, the clouded fogginess of something, and allows you to move forward in this more passionate place rather than such a mental and logical place here. So let's see what's going on. Get some more clarity here. With the Chariot, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So finally speeding up after something's been moving really slowly. And the High Priestess. And I think you knew that on some level it would eventually move. It just was taking so long. It allowed your mind the time to get into this funk with all these sevens, right? The Knight of Swords. We have the Ten of Cups. And the Four of Cups. So that's the same card that we got at the bottom of the deck. So it does kind of feel like this sudden blessing, sudden incoming cup from the universe, this assistance that comes through. Oh, and look at this. Below the Four of Cups is the World, which is that final leg of the journey you've been waiting for. So that's really coming together nicely. The King of Wands, we have the Hierophant and the Four of Pentacles. So definitely some stability and commitment here. And again, it's like this spiritual journey. You know why I said we had the 3 sevens here? And that to me means some sort of spiritual journey here. And then we get the Hierophant, and he has 3 tiers to his staff here. It's really about higher learning, spiritual lesson, something that happens 3 times before we reach the top. And it's interesting that you have 3 sevens and we get the spiritual card, which is the Hierophant here. Very interesting reading, Taurus. It's definitely some sort of, it's almost as if you may have gone through these different stages, these sevens here, from, you know, kind of standing your ground. I feel like that's more recent. But perhaps even some self-sabotage in the past, some confusion in the past, and now you're finally standing up for something that you want, which is this new beginning here that's really showing up mostly in this bottom row. So, this happiness. Now, from a relationship standpoint, I do feel like you could very well be dealing with a Leo. We have a lot of that coming in here. And I feel like on perhaps some level, this person was kind of waiting for you to have some sort of completion before they came forward, perhaps. But on some level, it's like you're tied to this person. And I think in this current row here, when it comes to relationships, there's been a lot of struggle to get here, whether it's your journey or theirs. It does feel like that is, it's like you've been maybe on some level waiting for this person to show up here. And I feel like they've probably been a little bit in and out, indecisive about what to do here for sure. Perhaps even guarded against this possibility. But that Fool showing up, that new beginning, and there is sudden movement coming in, sudden communication, happiness, emotional fulfillment here. And somebody in the form of the King of Wands, I feel it's probably a Leo, it does not have to be, but some sort of fire energy here is coming in to offer commitment and really security. Somebody who may have been very guarded in the past or even closed off to you. But this dissatisfaction is coming to an end, and there's that victory wreath in the form of the 6 of Wands. So whether this is career or a passion project, a side gig that becomes the real gig, you know what I'm saying, and has that reversal with, you know, you may have had some main job in the past that then becomes the side gig, if that makes sense. So quite a bit of success here coming in, but I think the key to getting there is kind of allowing that subconscious mind to take over and do the thinking for you, and you know, maybe even distract yourself with other things in the meantime, because it's almost like you may be getting messages in your dreams that you may not be remembering. So perhaps even before bed, set the intention to remember your dreams and make it a point to grab a pen and paper and set that next to your bed so that you don't lose any of that. So instead of grabbing your phone in the morning, grab that piece of paper and write down anything you can recall before you do anything else. And you may actually get some of the answers you've been looking for. Something that will spark some movement here. So Taurus, I hope to see you in the November readings. We're going to dive into those next week. And again, like I said, we're getting into eclipse season. And I believe one of those is in your sign, Taurus. So let's see what's coming in for that. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.